The market is starting to look like a scary place.
I'm sorry, buddy. I love you, but you are wrong. I wasn't planning on making a video today. I was watching your video while I was in the shower. Weird, I know. But I watched this video and I was like, okay, I hope nope. Okay, I gotta say something about this. So in this video, I'm gonna be reacting to Sean Rockajuice's video about why Dallas real estate investors that are in Airbnb need to watch his video, and it basically is telling all about the doom and gloom and why rental arbitrage is so great. This isn't true. There's so many things in this video that aren't true, and I'm going to start knocking them down one by one in this video. I'm not trying to hate on my buddy, by the way. I think he's a genius. He's amazing. We made a lot of money together. He's my best friend. But if you're going to talk about something, then you got to know what you're talking about, and that's my realm, and I'm going to talk about it in this video. He keeps on mentioning why Airbnb is not real estate. It's a service-based industry. This isn't true. Real estate is many things. Real estate isn't just the property. You buy the property and that's it. Real estate can be many, many, many things, including commercial buildings. Commercial buildings that might have tenants that might be from a washeria all the way up to a Fiesta. Or I guess in other places of America, it could be a Kroger or a Albertsons or a Dillard's, whatever it happens to be. That's still part of real estate. You got to figure out how to keep your tenants, what's going on with your tenants, maintenance, and all sorts of things. When you go to residential real estate, you have your stuff. You have yourself the long-term, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, 2 year. You have fourplexes, you have duplexes, all these things that go into being a real estate investor that also is a service base as well, because you got to make sure the number's right, you got to make sure your bottom line's good. But if you're a landlord, which typically happens as well whenever you're starting with a lot of these properties, then you got to maintain these properties and you got to keep up with your complaints. Being a real estate investor isn't just buy a property and let it make you money. It's a really hands-on thing. Although I've been retired for the last 3 or 4 years through my real estate investing, it doesn't mean I haven't been working. I still work, but like when I want to. And it's only an hour or two a day, 3 hours a day here, and maybe 2 days off. Maybe I go on a vacation, I come back. But if someone calls me and says, hey, the air conditioner's out at one of your properties, or whatever happens, the water line just busted, you're still rocking and rolling and you're still making sure all this stuff happens. Later on in the video, he talks about why co-hosting is not important, you shouldn't do it. I want to really mention that. I'm going to touch on that again later, but co-hosting is so important. It is very, very important, but you just got to make sure you do your terms right. I want to stress, real estate and Airbnb are one and the same. Just Airbnb is a different method and vehicle in which way you can make money in real estate investing. That's simple. It's not two separate things. Just learn a new skill. Just like you can learn to be a property manager, you can learn how to be an Airbnb host. Problem solved. Moving on. Now the second thing I want to bring up is why Dallas does not fit the doom and gloom scenario that he might be mentioning in this video. Yes, the market might be softening. And you hear all these crazy articles and all this BS all over the news that the next real estate bubble is about to pop. You have to keep in mind the way that these people, and even some YouTubers, which I'm not going to mention names, are going to keep your attention is by making you fear, scare, like panic, attack, everything's going wrong, everything's burning, you're about to die. That's how they get your attention. I'm addicted to it, you are too. We all have that panic response to us. And they make these huge articles that are, the end is coming, because they know that you'll click on that versus like a very soft market, drop a little bit. The Case-Shiller is what has all the data in our Dallas-Fort Worth area. Case-Shiller is an aggregate of what all the data for every single home, lease, transaction, commercial, all that stuff, not just say commercial, but it has all the data. And then what we know from a healthy market is 6 months of inventory. Okay, and so 6 months of inventory means that all the listings that are on the market, all of them, if they were to not have any more listings, then it would take 6 months for people at the rate that they're buying and selling, or the rate that they're buying, which would buy up all the inventory that's currently on the market. 6 months is a healthy market, and that's what our goal should be. That's what we're trying to get to. With the rates as low as they were, we were at a 1 month inventory. 1 month inventory. Do you understand how insane that is? That is not healthy. That should not be the case. And because of that, we had some properties that I was trying to bid on have over 100 offers. And those offers were sometimes 40 to 50% over asking value of the comps. That means that the bank comes out and says your home is worth 300,000, but people will come out and offer 450,000, and they're still losing the deal because of all these other people piling on top of it. Now, does that sound like a very healthy real estate market to you? No, it doesn't, and it can't sustain itself. That is not good. Now, you expect after something so crazy there will be an immediate pop down. That's not the case either. We've seen that in the last 2 months, this massive softening, this downfall, and oh my God, it's the end that he mentioned in his video. What do you do now? You're about to lose all your money. Your house is about to lose all of its equity that it just gained during that short amount of time if you bought a year ago. And then there's gonna be foreclosures, and then rents are gonna drop. And then what are you gonna do to pay your bills? Well, the truth is that I went from 1 month of inventory to 1.2 months of inventory. What? How are we going to survive? Sell all your homes? Oh no. That's ridiculous. We're still way in the crazy rates, or crazy percentages as far as months of inventory. And then we're seeing rates doubled from then. And so rates were at the beginning of the year around 3%, and now they're over 6%. Anyone that's trying to buy homes with me, I had 3 deals fall out just recently. In the last 45 days, 30 days, I've had 3 buyers back out because the home didn't appraise, and then they couldn't redo their rate because the rate has went up by 2 points from the time that we initially started the whole process, and they hadn't do the rate lock. So then now they're backing out because they just can't afford to buy right now. And so these people are going to sit on the sidelines, and that's good. It sucks for me because I want the commission. But that's good that we're scaring some people out of the market. 6% is still a good percent to have a rate for your bank loan, but sometimes it makes it very difficult to get long-term buys. Say for instance you want to buy a home right now for a 12-month lease. With your 6% rate, it's very difficult to get a cash flow property. That is why we do Airbnb. The problem with Airbnb is that there is way too much there's way too many listings. The AirDNA data they just released shows that there's way more people coming to Airbnb. There's way more bookings on Airbnb, but the amount of days vacant are increasing. The reason why, there's too many people buying homes and putting on Airbnb, and specifically, there's too many people buying luxury real estate and putting on Airbnb. There's only a percentage of people in America that can afford an Airbnb for $1,000 to $2,000 a night. So therefore, there's so many more of these $500, $700, $1 million homes that are going up on Airbnb that are wanting so much per night, but there's a very small amount of people in America that can afford it. Before, it made more sense because they're getting free government paychecks and they're getting their own, and then they're just getting supplemental income. And so people were spending money like crazy, and let's go get a crazy house in the cliffs in Austin with a pool, and we have all this free money. People that make money that haven't had money before spend it. They don't invest it. So that's why this Airbnb boom happened. But now there's a pullback because people aren't having as much money, and now it goes back to the typical business as usual Airbnb. So the more luxury your property, the more expensive your property is, the more likely you are to have more vacancies. And that's how it's always been on Airbnb. It just was a little bit of a weird bubble because everyone had so much money. So it's cool. There's more vacancies. Stop buying so many expensive homes. Start buying homes that are $400,000, $300,000, and doing them for $500 now on the weekends, or $350 or whatever it happens to be, and then just be happy with $1,000 or $2,000 profit versus I need to make $7,000 to $10,000 net profit per month. Like, okay, chill out a little bit. Anyways, I digress. I sometimes go on tangents. But that is why Dallas is not affected by this whole doom and gloom thing. Do you know that Dallas actually, a healthy appreciation rate follows inflation? So say for instance, a healthy appreciation right now is like 6%, 8% appreciation on a house would be really nice. People would really do that. When people are doing models for real estate investing, they typically do 3 to 4%. But let's say for instance 6%, 8% because of inflation is getting a little crazy. So let's just say that. That is a healthy amount of appreciation on a house. Last year, Dallas, from the year from last year to May or June, the model showed that it went up 31% on average. On average. Do you know what average means? That means certain parts of the market were lower, like 5 to 10, and certain parts were like 50 to 60. And then they have to find the average, which is 30. There's certain areas. I sold Luis Perez and Janet, his wife. I sold them 2 homes, 3 homes last year, and then I just did the comps because I wanted to see if they can do a cash out refinance or play with their equity or possibly sell. And their homes went up over $100,000, and they bought homes in like the $400,000 range, $500,000 range. Their homes went up over $100,000. In 1 year, they made a profit of $100,000 per property that I sold them. In 1 year. Whoa, that's insane. That's amazing. Plus their debt pay down, plus they made their cash every single month on their returns. That's a very good deal. Now, if right now the market slows down a little bit and their property stops appreciating at that insane rate, then what happens if this year their property appreciates at half the rate? Oh my God, it's the end of the world. They're only gonna make $50,000 on top of their home value. Come on, guys. There'll be 100 people versus 50 people offering on a home. I mean, there will be 50 people versus 100 people offering on a home. It's fine. Home values are going to come back to being normal, but the appreciation is not going to just go up. It's insane value. This is much needed, and it's not the end. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. I could talk about this for an entire video. I bought a house. It's 321 Star Street. You can look it up on Google. I have it on Airbnb. It typically averages around $5,000 a month. Some months a little lower, some months it gets up to $6,000, $7,000, but on average, I bring in around $60,000 a year in revenue. Now, with all the bills and the mortgage and paying the cleaners and all the BS that comes into it, I do pay a lot. I end up paying around $42,000 a year in holding costs, which is everything covered. I could probably lower that, that's right. But my profit is about $18,000 to $20,000 a year on that house. It is my lowest performing house. This house does not make me a whole lot of money. And it's always been kind of that way. I bought it from another Airbnb owner that just couldn't manage it right, and so I got a pretty good deal on it. It was listed at $350, I got it at $320, but I got it fully furnished, and I got my commission on it. So actually I really got it for like $300, $290, something like that. So it's a pretty good deal. Right now, I could sell that thing for over $400,000. Let's just say for instance $400,000. That means in just like 2 years of having the property, 2 or 3, something like that, I've increased the property value by over $100,000 just by holding on to it. Plus I've done some renovations here and there, so I could probably even do it for $20,000, $430,000, something like that. So $100,000 to $130,000, but I had very little money into it. Okay, $18,000 profit. I don't like the way the property is performing right now. Also, Dallas might be banning Airbnb, so I figured I'll throw it up on the market for long-term rental. Between my leases, between my Airbnb guests, people can come look at the house. I could get easily $2,500 a month on this house. I can have it rented in a week. Right now, I only have 3 or 4 applications on it because I have it at $2,900 a month. But I also have an option for $500 a month extra so you can have the house fully furnished. So I'm working on the ins and outs of that. If I were to do that, it'd be $3,400 a month would be my take home. And that's not bad. My overhead on this property every single year, how much I pay on it if I were to do a long-term lease versus the $42,000 I have to do for the Airbnb lease, is $24,000. And so I have to pay about $24,000 a year just to hold this property. Plus I have tax write-offs, but let's just say for instance, $24,000 a year. So if I only rent it out for the $2,900, make sure my math is right. If it's not, make sure to comment below in the comments. but it's about $34,000 a year would be my revenue. And so if it's $24,000 a year that costs it for me to hold it, and it's $34,000 a year, then it's a $10,000 a year profit that I get to take home. 10,000 versus 18,000, that's not as nice. But if I'm making that extra $500 a month, then it gets super close. If I can rent that thing fully furnished, it gets super, super close. And I would much rather lose at the end of the year $2,000, $3,000 just to have maybe $2,000 just to have a long-term lease versus having to always deal with the Airbnb BS. If you guys are Airbnb hosts, you know that being an Airbnb host has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's a little bit of BS. So for me to lose $2,000 or $3,000, but to have a tenant that I never hear of ever, and they maintain all my property, they water all my plants, they make it all look nice, I'd much rather have that. At the end of the year, I don't even, oh God dang, I forgot that place was leased. And then boom, you have yourself a nice little paycheck. That is the beauty of, if Airbnb gets banned, I could sell it or I could rent it for almost the same amount that I'm Airbnb-ing. That's wonderful. Why rental arbitrage is not as sexy. First of all, you don't have the debt pay down, you don't have the appreciation, you can't sell your properties, and all that fun stuff. You don't have any kind of exit strategies. He talks in the video about how you just are doing it wrong. You need to pitch landlords better. You need to do 1 month free, 2 months free, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, free when you first get started. And that way you can snowball your cash and then buy more and more and more and more, and then build up at a fast portfolio. That way you can use the power of many, many, many units to lower your overall costs. Okay, that's cool. And then yeah, you can make more cash really fast doing that. But what if you just so happen to be buying a building in Dallas for Airbnb, or you happen to be doing 10 units, 15 units for Airbnb, and you negotiate a 1, 2, 3 month free rent, and then they ban Airbnb, or they make it to where short-term rentals can't exist for less than 30 days. Well, now you just picked up a ton of property with a ton of furniture, and you spent all this money to make sure all these units, painting walls, doing all this kind of fancy stuff to improve the units, just so you can go on the McDonald's of Airbnb and just rent it out for like $100 a night or $50 a night, whatever it happens to be. Okay, they ban it. What are you going to do now? Like that is going to be a really tough situation, that you are going to be left with having to store all this furniture, or you have to sell all this furniture, and then you have lease breaks. Lease breaks, first of all, you don't get your deposit back. So whatever you did for your deposit, that is normally 1 month rent, and so you lost your 1 month rent. So if it's $2,000 a month for your rent, whatever happens, let's just say $1,000 a month, so you just lost $1,000 on 10 units, that's $10,000 you just lost. In that scenario, you're already in a bad financial situation because Airbnb is going down and you just lost all your units. So having a 10,000, say for instance 10 units at $1,000 each, which is probably not, it's probably $2,000, but whatever, $1,000 each, that's $10,000 in the hole you are. That sucks. But on top of that, you negotiate a month, 2 or 3 months free, and they don't just give that to you for free. What it is that is a promotion that if you break your lease, then you have to pay all that back. And so $3,000 for 10, that's $30,000 on top. So it's $40,000 that you have to owe when you break it. Now great, you have an LLC and you can negotiate it and you can do it in court and you have lawyers, but I can guarantee you that if you are just now getting into Airbnb and your strategy for exiting is just going to court and having it hit your credit, and you owe $40,000 to $70,000 if it's going to be, closer to $2,000 a month rent, this is very traumatic. Make sure that if you guys are going to negotiate these contracts with these landlords, that they're just going to give it to you for free with no consequences at all. If you choose to back out after 3 months of being there, after your 3-month lease, and you can just back out because they decided to ban Airbnb, then okay, cool. This guy just gave it to you for 3 months, and he has to get you out of there because you have all your furniture. That's not going to happen. I don't care how good of a negotiator you are. That's not going to happen. The only way he's going to give you, or she, whatever, is going to give you that month, 2, 3 months free is if you're going to stay for 1.5 years, 2 years. And if you don't break the lease. So I hope that it doesn't get banned in Dallas. It hasn't got banned yet, and I really, really hope that's not the way it's going to go. But if you just picked up these 2-year leases and you break it, then you're out so much money, and you can't sell and you can't lease. So you're screwed. If you're a rental arbitrage person, you are screwed. There's no exit strategy. That's it. That's the truth. I'm sorry. How zoning in these cities actually are working. I can't talk about other cities because I haven't researched them in detail, but I know in Dallas, they specifically said, there was a guy that came from Austin, he was a lawyer, and he said, well, in Austin, whenever you guys did this, when you did the zoning for single family residential homes, that also affected the residential units that were in apartments. Don't do that here. And then the committee said, I'm sorry, sir, but that affects all units that are on less than 30 days, including Airbnb, short-term platforms, whatever they happen to be, for anything that's in apartments and things like that. And so, or even single-family Airbnb units that are in like homes. And so any arbitrage is affected by a ban, at least when it comes to Dallas. So if you just picked up 10 or 20 units in Dallas and then this ban happens, that's going to affect you. You're not out of this. You didn't just win this prize and you're now free, scot-free, and you can make all the money. You're going to be affected more than people that own homes will be affected. I'm sorry, like I said in the last section, it's just, that's the truth. So you should already right now be fighting harder than the people that are owning their homes. If you have Airbnb arbitrage units in Dallas, you should be fighting as hard as you can against this ban, because if it passes, you have to offload all your units, all of them, or you have to somehow figure out, if you have 10 units, to fill those with 30-day leases somehow immediately. And so be prepared, this is coming, and if it does happen, you are in the worst possible position. Okay, the next part is I want to make sure that you guys understand that co-hosting is key. When you do Airbnb, you can do 1 or 2 homes without having a co-host. But part of the reason why you want to do Airbnb is the freedom. If I want to go out of town, say for instance on the newest house, I'm going to be doing a cool little hybrid of house hacking / Airbnb kind of BS. And so I want to go to Mexico for the weekend. Now, what if my guest is here and they get locked out? Or what if there's something that goes wrong with the house and they can't figure it out? Or there is an AC problem or whatever happens to be. And so there's nice to have a co-host that is in the area that can pop in and help and be you whenever you're not around. Again, whenever it's 1 or 2 properties, you can get away with it. And as long as you're not aggressively doing it full time, and if you're out of state, it makes it very difficult if you're not going to co-host. Now, the thing that he brought up that didn't make any sense to me was that he said it was 20 or 30% a month. That's wild. If you're doing Airbnb, you should do profit share, and you should only profit share whatever is comfortable with you. I profit share from 6 to 10% with my co-host. Depends on the property. But if you have a low month, if your month is really crappy, then they make little money too. It motivates them to make sure the property looks good and make sure they're marketing the property as much as they can. And if there's any bad reviews, they get hurt financially as well. And when the market is down, say for instance there's a month that I have 0 bookings, then I'm not paying them because they didn't do anything. And so I don't lose money by co-hosting with them. And if it's 10%, then say for instance on that one property I was telling you about that I average about $5,000 a month. So if I had $5,000, I gave him $500. If I do 0, then I don't, and I take a hit that month. But it comes off of my overall profits for the year, so I'm still making money. But yeah, co-hosting is great. You should definitely co-host. If you have 1 or 2 properties as first property, you should do it yourself so you can learn the ropes. But really, co-hosting is great. Just negotiate it right, and never pay 20 or 30% for your co-host. That's insane. What the hell? Don't do that. No. And the last topic is, it's very important to close on this. It's not important about when you buy, it's how you buy the property. When you buy a property and the property makes sense, then it's always going to make sense in up times and down times. If you're buying a property, hypothetically, and then you buy it at the peak of the market, and the property is worth $500,000, and the appraisal comes in and it says your property is worth $500,000, and you want to pay $600,000 on the property, then unfortunately you're buying wrong. It's how you buy. No matter what, it will take years for it to come up to that. If the market keeps on going up at a crazy pace, it'll take a year or two for that property to make sense. If the market stabilizes and slowly raises, it could take 3 or 4 years for that property to make sense. If the market goes down, then you're screwed. Don't buy a stupid investment. If the market that you're in right now is too expensive, then that's signs that rents are going to go up, not rents are going to go down. People that can't afford homes rent. Foreclosures are happening because people can't afford their homes. Where are they going to go when their homes get foreclosed on? They become renters. Rents are going to constantly go up as prices are going to go up in the market for real estate. Rentals will always have a demand. So if you own a home from a year, 2 years, 5 years ago, then that home at that point that would have barely cash flowed, now cash flows really well. I would not have rented Star, the one I talked about earlier, 2 or 3 years ago because it barely cash flowed. Now it cash flows just fine. Same thing with my first house, 620 Westmount. That property cash flows like a freak of nature. I almost want to just put it full time on 6 month or 12-month leases because it cash flows so well. And so hold on to your properties that you bought right. Don't sell unless you have to sell. Of course, if you have to sell, I can help you, but I don't recommend it. Buy and hold as long as you can. Even if you're hurting a little bit, keep holding because the market will always correct if it goes down. But remember, the worst that Dallas ever got in the housing bubble, the worst time when the housing bubble popped, Dallas barely retracted. Like it went down, the average price of the homes in the market that went down were like 5%. So the home sales prices were down 5% or so on average whenever the whole world was burning. Florida and California, Arizona, New Mexico, all these places down like 40% or whatever it happened to be. We were down like 5%. This is a very, very, very healthy market if you're in Dallas. Don't stress. You'll be fine. Just keep holding. Buy right. Don't do something stupid. Everything will be fine, guys. Don't buy into all these videos that the whole world's burning, everything's going to go to hell, and you're going to lose all your money. Just keep holding, be fine. And if you're in a market that is banning your Airbnb and you own an Airbnb, then push it to the limit. Find out how long you can go without having to sell your property or without having to lease your property. Look at your numbers. If you need help, if you're in the area, I can go through the numbers with you to make sure you'll be fine long term. And if you need to, we can put it on the rental market for a year. And then after a year, then as long as you're not losing any money, after a year, and we'll see how Dallas is playing around with these bans, you can put it back on Airbnb. Even if you want to take the risk, just don't ever do it and just keep it on Airbnb. But things will be fine. But for you rental arbitrage people, you really need to start thinking about what is going to happen next if this ban happens. Because I don't know of a parachute that you can pull. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I love Sean Rakajich. I think he's amazing. He's helped me out a lot in my life, and this is not a hate video. All respect. Watch his channel for all sorts of information. He gives amazing data, amazing information. When it comes to real estate, though, he is not a real estate guru. He is a Airbnb guru. So be careful whenever you watch a video of someone that is being a guru about something that they are not a guru in. If I were to make a video about yoga right now, you shouldn't watch it. Or you should, because it would be pretty entertaining. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below. I'm going to be in the comments. Make sure to answer all these questions. This is a long video, and it had a lot of details, so I'm sure there's a lot of confusion. So we'll go through all of it. And I will see you in the next one. All right. Thanks, guys.